Hey y'all, it's Kelly Clarkson with Wayfair, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. Picture this. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app when you spot it. A brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's room of choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
There's a lot happening in the world right now, and it's definitely worth thinking about whether you should be traveling right now, especially if you're American. So on today's episode, I'm sharing my thoughts. Welcome to How to Travel Full-Time, the podcast that helps you turn your dream of full-time travel into a realistic and sustainable lifestyle. I'm your host, certified professional coach, TEDx speaker, and New York Times featured travel lifestyle strategist, Heather Markel. I'm excited to get you motivated and going with tips, real life stories, and strategies from someone who's been living the lifestyle since 2018. Let's jump in. I did another episode about this, I think a few months ago, but with another government shutdown and the Iran war, it is normal to be afraid and very cautious about traveling if you're American. So here are some thoughts. First of all, as I said on the last time I did this, the decision of whether to travel is completely up to you. I think we should all trust our gut on whether to take any trip these days. That being said, I just got back from Senegal, where I had a fabulous time, but I did notice some things. So let's start with airline safety. With the government shutdown in the US, lines and processing times at US airports are going to be longer and more frustrating. You're going to have to plan more time for that process. On the return flight to America, you may find higher security measures in place. When I left Senegal after going through the X-ray machine checks, every passenger was individually checked, and I mean individually patted down, and then we had to open every single carry-on bag, whether that was a personal item or a small suitcase, whatever it was, we had to open that up for inspection. That was a new one for me. My friend who I went to Senegal with traveled up to Spain, and she saw that flights from there to the US were also announcing increased security checks. Yes, there are clearly fears about Americans being targeted right now. And other countries have more competent governments and are not dealing with decreased staff at airports, and they are increasing security checks. Next, let's talk about fuel. And, the price of fuel is increasing, so airfares are going to increase. But at the same time, there's lots of fear, and that means fewer people are traveling. In fact, my flight to Senegal was full, but the flight back to America was more than half empty. I just looked into booking my next trip to Europe, and I already have a booking, so I just looked up the same dates that I'd already booked, and the number of miles and the cost were almost identical to what they were when I booked my ticket a few weeks ago. Now, depending where you're going, some airlines are canceling flights. In fact, as I'm recording this, there's news that, hundreds of flights are being canceled across Europe. We see that, other countries, other airlines are decreasing the amount of their flights. And, this is because limited fuel is probably going to cause further disruptions. If you don't have the flexibility to be stranded in a country for a while, it may be worth thinking about whether or not to delay your travel. If you're a full-time traveler or looking into full-time travel, then it's not such a big deal if depending on your circumstances and depending where you're going, it may not be such a big deal for you to stay in a country longer than you originally planned. And that, of course, means kind of building in flexibility to your travel plans and your pre-booked reservations. Now, I think one of the biggest concerns is how do people perceive Americans? Because the more damage done by Trump, the more that Americans will be considered jerks by other countries, plain and simple. My opinion and my take on this is, if you still support Trump, if you voted for him, you either should not be traveling now, or if you do, you should keep your opinions about him quiet while you travel. Trump supporters are likely to be refused entry to certain places, and that's probably going to increase going forward. While you may think he's doing a great job, the rest of the world does not. The reality is, Trump is despised in a lot of countries. I heard from more than one person in my travels, though, a sentiment that I think is likely to be the same in many other places. And that feeling is, Trump is highly disliked and frankly crazy. But he's so crazy and such a focus of attention that they realize not all Americans are anything like him. Unfortunately, the longer he stays in office, the more likely that the lines between one horrible person and the entire population of America may get blurred. I know that some people are already hearing conversations in some other countries where they hear terms like "fuck Americans," right? Those words are being used. But I also think it's possible that we can help by being ambassadors, and we can encourage and inspire the knowledge that not all Americans think like Trump or support his actions. So if you're not a Trump supporter, I think you're going to find more of a positive welcome than you might fear, at least at the moment. Now, the thing is, let's talk visas for a minute, because we talked about fuel prices increasing, but I think we could probably expect that some countries are going to increase or create fees for Americans to enter their countries. And our passport may cause immigration delays. I'd say to expect it and don't get angry about it. And unfortunately, we may see that we're blocked from going to certain countries. So we'll see how that pans out. Some tips. I think we all should be learning important phrases in the countries that we visit in their local language and make an effort to use them. You may not know if you don't speak, if you're not bilingual or you don't speak other languages. When we speak the local language in another country, it goes a long way. Think about, a lot of Americans feel that if you're in America, you should speak English. Okay, well then when you go to France, you should speak French, etc., right? So picking up, even if you can't get fluent in the language, just learning some of those phrases. Bring Google Translate, whatever, make an effort to speak in their language. Also really important right now, learn about the local cultures that you visit and respect those cultures. For instance, when I was in Senegal, I learned that most locals either don't want their photo taken or they want to be paid for it. It's important to learn those local customs and respect them. Just because we're American does not give us the right to behave in a way that is insulting to other cultures. Now more than ever, we all need to remember that our behavior abroad is going to be used by other people to form opinions on what all Americans are like. So hopefully you use that position to encourage others to know that not all Americans need to be feared. I think this is a topic where the answer will change throughout the year. So the best you can do is talk to other Americans who are traveling now where you want to go. Ask their insights. ask about their experiences. Register for the U.S. STEP program and keep an eye on travel advisories. Stay informed, trust your gut, and we'll all see how things develop. Thanks for listening. If you're ready to start living the full-time travel lifestyle, or you're already doing it and you want to make it last longer, I'd like to invite you to the Full-Time Travel Academy. It's where I offer training and coaching that helps you get clear on how to start, how to afford, and how to sustain a full-time travel lifestyle. Learn more at www.fulltimetravelacademy.com. Have a beautiful week.